Hey everyone, welcome. Retrain Your Brain Show day. Bethany, your host. And today I'm wanting to talk about something that really can open up everybody's minds if they would just understand. So before I get too far along, I am sharing from my group page. So I am going to share it to my personal really quick. So pardon the interruption. Let's see here. There we go. And share. All right. So that's that. So it's a nice and sunny day, and I think this is a pretty easy topic, so I don't plan on taking too much time. It's a beautiful Friday. It is hot here in Seattle, but luckily hot in Seattle means, 90 degrees this weekend, just over 90, maybe mid 90s in other parts of the region. Here where I live, I'm a little closer to the water. Hey Jen, good to see you. And so, who wants to be inside right now? So, with that said, being humble does not mean being a doormat. I think this society has a little bit of an obsession with pride. You have to kind of sell yourself and put yourself out there and just be, the pride celebrations, whether you're for, gay and homosexual rights, the fact that they call it the Pride Parade is actually a sticking point with some Christians. It's not even necessarily what it's about. It's the fact that it's a celebration of pride, which is like literally the first of the 7 deadly sins. Literally, it's the first one listed is the sin of pride. That's because pride really can shut you down. It can make you close-minded, and close off some opportunities, and being over prideful will hurt relationships with you and other people, as well as it'll stop you from maybe learning something new and useful because you have too much pride in the way of, maybe you feel like you have to be always right, or you've got to push your whatever agenda, or, be the center of attention. Pride has a lot to do with just being, I should say, it's, especially with some of the more narcissistic type personalities, which you do see a lot in top positions and in government. You would almost say some of those positions actually need it a little bit. You get a lot of people in sports, where they have a lot of pride. They own that field, and that field is theirs. and I understand that, because that's the way I was when I was in high school, especially my junior year. I was the second in league against 2 schools that were predominantly black. And here I am, a white chick who should not be able to compete against these girls, just by pure biological inconsistencies between the frame of a white body and a frame of a black body. There was some pride there. That track, I owned it. But at the same time, I tried to not get it over my head so much that when we had a jerk-off coach my senior year of high school and I wasn't doing as well, I went into total personal coach mode. This guy tried to, out of his pride in wanting to call the team down, because we were kind of all about including as many people as possible. So we had a track team of 100 people strong, both girls and boys. So we had 200 kids on the track team. And so senior year, we had this guy come in, and he took over as head coach because my coach had enough of the politics, and he just took over with his pride, and he had a beef with my coach, and he wanted to call it down. He didn't have the same inclusionary vision for our team that we have had all along. And so he would take people who had never trained for racing. He would take field eventers, particularly jumpers. And if there was too many to compete, he would stick them in the worst, hardest race, which was the 800-meter race. This was the race that the previous year I was second in league. And boy, did we stick it to him, man. So what I did is I took that knowledge and that opportunity, and turned, the pride of my performance from last year and turned it into knowledge to help these girls get through this hardest race in track with their dignity. Because I wasn't about to let this coach destroy these ladies, these soon to be women, by letting them run a race that they should not be in, and just going haphazardly and not understanding how to race it. Because again, the 800-meter race, it does take strategy. And so I took the time to turn that knowledge, turn that pride I had in my performance the previous year, and turn it into knowledge. And that's where it really needs to be. There's a certain amount of pride we all need to have in our work, in our everyday life, but it's turning that into shareable knowledge without shutting down possibilities. I would tell these girls, you run it this way. Do not pass me and Dana. But if you're at the 200 meters left mark and you're with us and you've got the energy, then take it. But I told them, don't take it until then, because we're at the top in the league. So, if you've got a hidden potential that comes out, go for it. That will not be a bad thing at all. So I made sure that these girls know I was coaching them in such a way that would get them through the race. But if they were with us, that's the varsity at the end of the race, for them to go for it. So that's yes, I had the pride in my own performance, but the humbleness to accept that we could be surprised. And someone could, come up out of these jumpers and end up being an amazing 800-meter runner. The potential was always there. We had a lot of fantastic athletes. So being humble isn't being a doormat. Being humble is being able to accept and listen to other people. And accept if, someone else outperforms you, it's being willing to look at it and be like, so why did they outperform me? Is it something that I can do to improve, to catch back up? Or even with positions. I've actually talked to a few friends of mine in the past when the whole, should gay marriage be a right or not? And I actually changed a few minds when I said, the government shouldn't even be in marriage at all. It's a religious institution. It always has been. What the government should focus on is civil unions between people, which, gives the rights to, not have to testify against your civil union partner. In which case, man, woman, gay, straight, all of that goes out the window. It just becomes a legal partnership. Whereas, marriage is a definition between man and woman, whether that matters to you or not, no longer matters. Marriage has always been a rather religious thing throughout time. It's a ceremony. But meanwhile, the government could totally do the civil unions thing, which is a legal precedent, the joining of households, not mattering who or what you are. But I'm sure there would need to be some regulation. You don't want that to go buck wild or anything and have too many layers. But even they had opened up to that. And then there's been plenty of times where I've been, I've had a view, and given being humble is being, if you are given updated information or valid information that you can go and then, validate on your own. If you're given valid information, you should be willing to adjust your position as well. that's what being humble is. Being humble is to serve. You know, I was on a job interview recently, just kind of, you know, experimenting. And they mentioned, you know, was definitely overeducated and overqualified for the job. And I told them, that doesn't matter. No job do I consider actually beneath me. Sure, there's some jobs I'm probably just not willing to do. But at the same time, you know, this was a kind of an accounting track type job. And I'm like, none of that's beneath me, as long as I'm being properly compensated and properly trained, and I don't feel like I'm being set up for failure or anything. You know, and then you just know that I can handle more should the opportunity arises. You know, but all I ask is that I'm just compensated. Even if the work, technically, yes, I was far overqualified for, and overeducated. You know, I told them that that's not an issue with me. I am the person that I can be, you know, a senior project manager, and I will still go and tackle trying to fix a copy machine or deliver a piece of mail. You know, that stuff doesn't bother me. You know, it's being able to still serve people and serve what you're trying to do, without, you know, without putting anyone else down, without, you know, needing to highlight myself or anything, and just being able to help other people and do it in such a way with respect and love that they leave thinking, yes, I can do this, and she's got my back. You know, when you have so much pride, people can doubt if you have their back or if you're really just in it for yourself. And I've been there as well, where my own actions did not reflect the fact that I really did care about the success of other people, but just because of the way I was, and how, you know, stressed out and just all kinds of not goodness, that's just not how I came across. And so I've had to do a lot of, you know, self-reflecting and, you know, evening out the sharp edges that led to that perception, you know, and trying to fix that moving forward, which luckily I did. I ended up with a great mentor that really helped me on that journey for a couple of years, and sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you just take somebody else to kind of walk you through it, especially if they know you and they get to know you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a friend, but taking criticism from friends and being willing to hear the answers if you ask them can go a long way, because at least then you know these are people who care about you and who would really like to see you succeed. Someone who doesn't know you may not quite have enough of the input. And I mean, and this could also be, you know, maybe from a boss. You know, one of my last companies, I mean, really, they encouraged checking in with your boss and say, hey, how am I doing? Is there any issues going on that I should know about? And getting that personal feedback. But that takes courage, and again, it takes humility to be able to accept whatever criticism it is that they have for you. But it's part of self-growth. If you never ask and you always live in this bubble that's everything's hunky-dory, you may never learn what it is that other people are having trouble with. Because again, I live in the paradigm that people can change. It can take a lot of work, or it could take a few simple tweaks. You know, it's one of those things. It's on a spectrum. But I wholeheartedly believe that people can change for the better. And I don't believe in, you know, can't teach an old dog new tricks. Even dogs have proven that wrong. Mental elasticity for learning new things can change over time and diminish, but that can always be brought back as well. And again, I've seen that. So, tip of the day, learn how to be humble, but again, does not mean to be a doormat. You can still stick to your guns when you know you're right, but you can do that with respect and with love, and then just know your shit. So that way you can defend your position. And that's the fun part about, you know, being able to do debates, is that sometimes, you know, when someone challenges you, that tells you where you're weak, and what you need to go out and learn and figure out how to fix. So I hope you found today's helpful. Couple of things. I have been uploading these to YouTube. Episodes 1 through 9 are on YouTube. Search term the Retrain Your Brain Show, and then if you click on my channel, they'll all be there. I'm trying to get the rest of them on between today and tomorrow, including this week's. And I'm not editing, not these videos. They are raw and are what they are. Please feedback, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. I believe the subscribe button will show up about here-ish when it's up on YouTube. And next week we will be kind of wrapping up some more in-depth mindfulness type things, and my first guest, my friend Diana, will be on with me, and we're gonna get together and kind of be in the same room and just have a conversation about meditation. Might be a two-parter, so that way it doesn't get too long, but we're going to discuss the science of it, why it really can help anybody once you get a true good practice going, and just kind of things you can expect, and different types. You know, there's different types of meditation, and so we're going to explore that next week. The following week after that, I hope to finally be getting into fitness. I've got a couple of people online who are going to talk about their experience and their current things that they're doing. And then not long after, it might be 2 weeks after, we'll be talking food and diets. So please feel free to chime in if you've got a specific type of diet, and I mean diet not as in cutting the calories and doing things, but maybe a specific way you eat. Diet is just how you eat, not a like, oh, I'm on a diet so I can't have XYZ, you know, fill in the blank. I'm just talking if you've got a specific way you eat. You know, a friend of mine does keto. I'm gonna have her on the show, which is a sugar thing, and I want to see if I can find a paleo friend, and you know, and then share kind of what I've done in the past and what's worked, and just kind of, you know, explore what eating healthy can do for not just your body but your mind too. So hope that's a nice end of the week cap of what to expect here in the new future, and a little bit of the upcoming path. So all right, thank you for watching, Jennifer. Really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone who watches on the replay and finds us potentially on YouTube as well. So I'll talk to you later, and have a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.